Hey everybody, welcome to Mixlife. We're just getting started. Rick is here. We're just it's kind of just a chill day. We're getting started with a bunch of projects left over for Vegas, but we have lots of great stories to tell you from Vegas.
Just doing a little bit of decompression in general.
Yeah, big time, man. It was a big trip. I want to start by just saying, first of all, just a fucking enormously huge thank you to the companies and the people that made this whole trip and this expo possible. So, in no particular order, Flavora and Liquid Barn for being the two biggest sponsors for the DIY extravaganza and giving us the forum for all the mixers to get together and just to do our thing in public and have some great contests and some good times. Chef's Flavors for making their first U.S. appearance and just being amazing people, super incredible. We'll get more into that in a few minutes. And then all the mixers that showed up, Wayne Walker, Fresh, Folk Art, all the E-Juice Makers teams, guys, Chris DVR.
Not Rick. Chris DVR, though. Let's thank everybody specifically but Chris DVR. He wore a vest, and I don't trust anybody in a fucking vest.
He looked nicer than all of us, and that was kind of offensive.
So he is dapper as fuck. I don't trust that.
He was a handsome-ass man. Jerry made it out.
Fucking Jerry.
Chiba, Dave, ID10T, Adam, and you, of course. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing somebody.
I don't know. There's probably people there that we didn't think about. Shindo? Did we say Shindo?
Oh, and Shindo, of course. Well, except Shindo's mom still owes me $20. I need a second. I'll be right back.
I have to give a special shout out to Shindo. I don't know if anybody's on the Facebook and friends with everyone on the Facebook, but Shindo brought me a pretty banging Whitney Houston t-shirt. So on Friday, we wore matching Whitney Houston t-shirts, which is totally something that two large dudes do that isn't super, super weird. So that was fantastic. He got the white for himself. I got the purple. I figured you put us together. It was pretty good. Liquid Barn did some interviews while we were there. So hopefully everybody will get to see the two strange giant mixers wearing Whitney Houston t-shirts talking a whole bunch of super jerk-offy stuff about mixing. So that was all sorts of fun. Koppel is coming back right now, but Koppel is okay. I met him in person. I was only slightly disappointed. Hey, buddy.
All right, I'm back. Sorry for the distraction there. My kid fell. He's fine, though.
He's fine. He's tough.
He can wait till after the show to go to the emergency room. No, he's totally good. My son, he's just one of those people that panics, has a panic reaction to anything that remotely resembles or might possibly hurt, but he's fine. He's good.
I think that's just a kid thing, man. They got that they got that strong fucking hypochondria.
No, my older boy was the other way around. He wouldn't react. He never reacted. He crack his head open and he just come home and be like, "Dad, I guess I'm bleeding. I don't know why." And I'm just like, well, that's," and I would freak out, but he'd be like, "Dad, it's cool."
Oh, hey, and DeMillan's in the chat. It's good to meet you in person. It was excellent.
Thanks for coming out, DeMillan, and thanks for converting to the vanilla swirl. now that you understand it's not the devil.
It's all swirl, baby. It's all swirl all the way down.
Welcome, everybody. Did I miss anything?
No, I just told him about Shindo buying me a pretty rockin' Whitney Houston t-shirt. So.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Let me see. Oh, I can't do a screen share because I have 2 monitors up, and whenever I try to do it, it's Inception, and the whole thing freaks out. So I'll post it in the Mixlife group, and it's on my personal Facebook. If anybody's friends with me there, I already posted it.
DeMillan ate her hat, so that was pretty. Yeah, I mean, how'd it taste? Did it taste like vanilla swirl?
I bet it did. I bet it did.
But no, DeMillan came out. We had a couple other people come out too. That was cool. I know it's a big fucking reach to get people to come from out of state to a vape convention or whatever, but the people that did show up, we hung out with. It was cool.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate everybody that showed up. It was really fun to put a few names to some faces and just have a good time. We had some DIY contests. Who won the Signature Series again? I can't remember.
Oh, I think you can remember who won the Signature Series.
It was first place.
I know.
First place.
I got first
Was
place in the fucking signature, my
I'm
dude.
just fucking with you, dude.
I know you were. You're trying to get my goat. My goat's easy to get. Fucking giant swan.
So Rick crushed it in the signature competition. These were pre-mixed before we went to the contest, and they were out for the public to try for 2 days. And the public liked them the best. I only got fourth place, so
yeah, no, giant swan is pixie sticks, fucking rum and champagne coming soon to Chef's Flavors.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nightmare of a mix, but it was a lot of fun. I did come in ninth place in the shake and vape contest, though, so I got that going for me.
Yeah. Adam took first place in the shake and vape contest, or Sea Chemist, with a cannibalized psychotic recipe that I'm not privy to. It's in
a conceptual mix. We'll call it a conceptual mix instead of just like instead of just like a fucking huge ass troll.
Right. We'll just leave it at that. And it will probably
never see the light of day.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know, Adam. Adam's doing that thing. That's not my thing. But he won, and he did a great job. It was super awesome. We all did some cool interviews with Liquid Barn. So be on the lookout. Liquid Barn will have a bunch of media, probably for their Instagram, on their personal or on their actual website, and I don't know, somewhere else. Probably it's their Facebook group. They said that we'll have copies of it at some point, but I'm pretty sure they're still post editing and all that stuff. The Liquid Bar guys were all super duper cool people, and all the Flabora guys, they were all cool people. Everybody was cool. I was actually kind of nervous because, like, when you go to meet a company like that, like, you always are on the risk of just not getting along, like, on a personal level. But they were all super chill, and it was really fun overall. And they gave us tons and tons and tons of shit. It was awesome. I never have to buy 60 ml bottles ever again, probably.
I don't think the live chat replays on our videos, so we'll just put it out there.
I don't know if it does. I haven't said to or not.
Yeah, Alaska Vapor. We did survive, just barely. Only slightly worse for wear. I think we were talking about it on the drive home because Koppel and I drove down there together because we're both from the Northwest, and it seemed like less of a pain in the ass than flying. And if we could teleport down there, it would have been an almost perfect trip. But
yeah, overall, like, once we got into Vegas, like, everything was awesome. Everything was super fun. We the first night we got in late-ish, but Bryson came down and we all had a few drinks and hung out. Well, except Rick and his tonic water. Grandpa Rick.
Yeah, Grandpa Rick with his alcohol problems couldn't play in the expense account game. You fucking degenerates.
Hey, man, I mean, free drinks are free drinks, right?
I mean, it was a free tonic water at the Circus. What gets fancier than that, my man?
And that was super cool. And then a bunch of us all stayed at an Airbnb. So it was me and Rick, Shindo, and Wang, and Jerry. And invariably, we had some others come in and out throughout the whole weekend.
Chiba just kind of showed up there.
Yeah, Chiba rolled in like the second day. So that was cool. But it was cool to hang out with Chiba. He snores, by the way. He slept like a foot from me, and it was loud.
Dude, I think we all snore.
I'm pretty sure it's just like a natural result. Like, the house is full of varying sonars of snoring.
No, I took the significant other along because she's fucking a trooper, and she said, I can deal with you farting at night, but everybody else, man.
Pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal.
It got a little thick. That air got a little fucking thick.
And a super big shout out to Wayne for helping us out, setting up that Airbnb, and just being a dude, man. That was awesome. So I appreciate it if you're watching.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
It was definitely a fucking good time. Like, it's going to be interesting moving forward to see if we could set up like more in-person stuff, because like hanging out for the weekend, I don't mean to seem like a fucking herb or anything, but I actually really enjoyed everybody's company, even Dave's, which I was kind of surprised about.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I mean, he's just as catty and trolly in person, which I thought I was going to be like, it was going to be too much for me, but it was strangely pretty all right. So it was cool. It was like, I don't know, it was like a weird family reunion with a bunch of family you've never actually met in person, except that one guy that showed up on the last night. That was weird.
Which guy was that?
My dad.
Oh.
Ugh.
Although, like, can I give you shit about this on the air? I probably should have checked beforehand. But
Just send it. Just send it. Just burn me down, man.
no, it was fucking great. So Koppel's talking to his dad about like what he's doing down in Vegas, and his dad is like, "Oh yeah, no, I made vape juice back in the day," and it just completely fucking destroyed Koppel. It just deflated him. It was amazing.
It pretty much ruined me. So my dad and I have always had I don't know, kind of a standoffish relationship, and it's not uncommon for us to go years without talking. So I haven't talked to him since before my son was born, and my brother was getting married, and he stopped in, and I only saw him for like a little tiny bit because I was also the chef at my brother's wedding, so I was really busy, and so I didn't even really talk to him much then, and I hadn't seen him for years before that, and so he gets a hold of me before Vegas and says, "Hey, I'd like to meet up for a few beers or have dinner or something," and I was like, I mean, okay. I didn't even know that he lived close to Vegas. So, I mean, that tells you like
about the general level of interaction we're talking here.
So he rolls in there. Haven't seen the guy in like 5, 6, 7 years. He's got the most majestic mustache I've seen on a grown man in at least a decade. I mean, Rick's is nice, but my dad's got this beard like sweeping, like
oh no, it was. You could set a fucking watch by that mustache. It was amazing. As a mustache aficionado, I give it like 2 thumbs up.
It was a pretty great mustache. So, Dad, if you're watching, keep rocking that fucking mustache. It looks good. And then then he's like, "Oh yeah, we used to make juice for a local company in Olympia," and I was like what? Like, I mean, fuck it.
Why do I even try?
Why do I even try? Like, what am I even doing? He's always fucking 2 steps ahead of me.
It's fucking genetic, apparently.
Apparently, it's fucking genetic. So you hear that, guys? Your kids are all gonna be mixers, all of you. So yeah, that was kind of like the what the fuck Vegas moment of the whole trip for me.
And you had a couple what the fuck Vegas moments, and so I feel like that like rising to the top just says exactly how much about how surreal it is, because he was talking like what 5, 6 years ago, probably back in the single flavor fucking 24 milligram like days, just selling off the back of the truck.
So like 6 years ago, we're talking like the end of the cartomizers, right? The launch of Ego pens, like whatever juice he was selling, it was probably like 1 or 2 flavor wets. Anyone get to the legal dispensaries in Vegas? I know Shindo and Rick went to some, but they have some really enormous dispensaries, like the size of Walmart size fucking dispensaries. They're big. They're ridiculously big. The one we drove Shindo to one, and it was like palatial, right? It was huge.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too, because like I'm from a fucking, I mean, A, I don't smoke or do anything, but B, I'm from a legal state, so it isn't really like all that surprising me. And like fucking Koppel's from a legal state and shit. Like we've been on that train, but like we got some mixers coming in from across the country and from other areas, and yeah, they definitely want to hit the dispensary. So it was fun.
It was. And can we talk about how magical these discount liquors is real quick?
Dude, Lee's Discount Liquors was the shit. And I'm pretty sure we went to like the skankiest Lee's Discount Liquors, but it was still pretty fucking amazing.
It's still pretty glorious. So they have like, I don't know, like 1,000 square feet of just beer selection, and then like another 1,000 square feet of just like hard alcohol selection, and it's all the way from like $5 fucking bits of brokers to $300 $500 bottles of whiskey on the back wall.
Yeah, and like I just went because I wanted some fancy tonic water, and it did not disappoint. I got myself like some fucking cardamom tonic water and some mint and bitters tonic water and shit, like some fancy degenerate like sodas. But yeah, they just went hog wild on like the fancy beer selection.
Yeah, it was nuts. Like it was crazy. And they had a lot of really hard to find beers. So if you ever get the chance while you're in Vegas to swing by Lee's Discount Liquors, do it. I was not paid for this advertisement.
Fucking hit us up, Lee's Discount Liquor.
We could use some sponsorship beers. Not money.
You just definitely got the fucking coveted Mixlife endorsement right there.
Right fucking there. It was good. It was really good. What else? The second night of the convention, we went out with the guys from Chef's Flavors. Me and Rick and Chiba met up with them at the Mirage.
Oh,
And
I skipped that one, man. I had a sandwich because I wouldn't enjoy it nearly as much.
so everybody like in the Facebook groups like always cracks jokes about how much Lewis and Carl drank, and I thought it was just like a running joke, and we'd have a few beers, have a few laughs, and then come back. And that's not at all what happened. And they were not joking. And Lewis and Carl and Rhiannon and Jesse and Haley and Jimmy, if any of you are watching, we love you. But damn you for what you did to my liver and kidneys. Damn you.
And you were a fucking lightweight. Like, you pieced right out and then just kept going. Like, mad respect, I guess.
Yeah, no, so that's the craziest part is that they were like at it the next day fairly early, and I was still like, kill me now. I can't do it. I mean, maybe that's how they do it. Maybe it makes it easier if you just keep going. But
I mean, if you never stop, you never get a hangover. So
I suppose so. But it was good. It was a good time. It was really fun. Super duper fun. And I think it's the first time in probably years that I've been able to like socialize for such an extended period and not like completely lose my shit. So there was that.
I brought along my handler. She kept me pointed in the right direction, which was nice. I didn't like hanging out with people, but yeah, I needed a little bit of chill time. I can't go 24 hours party people. So yeah, it was a good time. Like, I'm really glad I went. Like I said, like, I wish I could have fucking teleported there or whatever. But I mean, even the drive in isolation wouldn't have been too bad if we weren't like fucking busy all day, every day while we were down there, and we had a little bit more of a break.
Okay, so the TPA strawberry ripe shenanigans that's going on right now. I did email Linda. She says the formula hasn't changed. It's just being made by another manufacturer. Some people are reporting that they think it's different. I haven't watched Wayne's video on it yet. So I don't know for sure if he felt like it was different. But for what I can understand, it's just being made by another company because they changed the lab they're sourcing things from.
So what you're saying is we definitely need to freak out.
I mean, I don't even use TPA strawberry ripe for like hardly anything. So I don't know. Maybe you do if you want to, but I think it's too like if they've only just recently switched suppliers. There's a strong chance that anything you're buying from vendors right now is still from the original supplier. Yeah, it's too early to tell. I'm gonna wait. I'll order some in like a month and then try it and I'll see. But I mean, who knows? I mean, I could ask Linda to send me some, but I don't think that's really necessary.
Yeah, I just don't use strawberry ripe. I can't taste that shit.
Yeah, the maltol in it is so heavy that I just like I can't. It's like it's invisible to me. Like I taste a little bit of stem and green in it, and it's oddly like kind of peppery to me if I take it over like 2%, which is too low anyways because it's kind of weak.
I do have to give Adam my special shout out. I've been telling him that he couldn't buy any juice maker's hat that fit me. And I don't know who he had to bribe to get a flex fit that kind of worked, but he brought me a hat in Vegas too. So I now can officially rock the juice maker's hat. So shout out Adam.
Yeah, dude. Good job on the hats. They look nice too. I like them. I'm kind of sad he didn't bring me one. He only brought one for your giant dome.
That's because I've been so fucking combative with it, and I always wear a hat. So I think it was just a smart. Like, my head is valuable real estate at this point. He just wanted to capitalize on it.
I mean, it's like a walking billboard, right? It's huge, and everybody down the street can fucking read your hat.
You can read that shit from space. I got one of them big old fucking hats.
It's funny that we joke about it, but in reality, we wear the same hat size.
Yeah.
So, but my head is like long and narrow.
Mine's deep.
And it's not as wide.
Yeah, I got a
much more spherical head.
I also got like a deep dish fucking head. I got like a giant fucking. It's a thing.
Mine is built for long mohawks. It's really what it is.
I'm pretty sure, fucking LabWorks, I'm pretty sure that Adam had to directly bribe some Chinese children to sew this hat for me because it was probably took a whole bunch of fabric and an act of Congress to get them to actually start the machines. It was an undertaking, a massive undertaking, and I thank Adam for it. So
They had to press fit it in a swimming pool.
and it's kind of has like the sateen kind of finish to it, so I'm pretty sure it's water repellent. You can actually use it as a pool liner if you need to.
There you go. It's good. I really like it though. I think it's really nice.
Yeah,
I got like a ton of like shirts and hats and shit, but I still haven't even unpacked from Vegas. Like I hauled in all my giant bags of stuff and they're just sitting behind me on the floor. And it's really messy, so I'm not going to show you.
I mean, I got a bag of the good stuff that I haven't. Like, I got to figure out where I got to put it. But
yeah,
all those chefs one shots, man.
Yeah, so Chefs was incredibly generous at the end of the show, and they did sell a ton of one shots, which is sad, but kind of unsurprising given the newness to the U.S. market. I really hope that with the flavor changes, that things like one shots and DIY, I really feel like there's a strong chance that they're going to be a lot more popular in the coming months and years, as things start gradually shifting in that direction. We'll see how much of this flavor ban thing is actually going to stick. I mean, Jewel made their big move, but we'll see. It's still too early to tell. But those Chefs guys were just insane. They were like, "What do you want? What do you want?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I'll try whatever you guys want to give me." And Carl's like, "How about one of each?" And I was like, "I mean, sure, man." And then they brought me another bag of one of each like an hour later. They were like, "Here, take more. Just take more." So now I have like one of every one shot to Chefs of the Chefs line, not of their like our line or the other lines, but just the Chefs brand.
I think they kind of had to know the score too. I mean, I can't imagine at these kind of shows you get like a whole bunch of bite on like people actually A, buying stuff, or B, buying one shot specifically. But I think they brought enough product that they could justify it to themselves to show up in Vegas for a couple days.
Right. No, definitely. But you know, I hadn't tried a whole lot of their one shots before. I ordered like I think 10 of them like a year ago, and they've expanded their line like enormously since then. And all of their really popular ones are around a year old or less. So it's been a while, and I didn't have a lot of them. And I'm stuck on that Pink with Envy, dude. Like I can't. Even though I mourn the loss of my half a bottle that rolled out of our car in
fucking Boise.
It was in Boise. I couldn't.
No. Okay, I'm gonna tell this story. So, like, we decide that we're gonna go ahead and just fucking power through on these drives because we got like 16, 17-hour drive from Vegas back up to my place, and then Koppel has to go like another like fucking 6 or 7 hours back from my place to his place the next day. So we're just fucking powering through, and we stop for dinner at a truck stop Taco Bell in Boise, and Koppel's just been fucking out of it the entire time. So he drops his Liquid Barn Basic bottle of Pink with Envy, and I'm pretty sure he freaked out the person whose car it rolled under because they wouldn't pull out of the spot so we could get the goddamn bottle because he was like casing the joint. So I'm pretty sure they called the cops on us.
Yeah, well, so I got out of the car and it had rolled directly into the middle, right, to like a point where I couldn't reach it unless I like half crawled under their car.
And we're fucking tired at this point. Like, we ain't crawling under any fucking cars.
I'm exhausted. And it's like 27 fucking degrees outside. It was freezing as fuck.
Why was it so fucking cold the entire time?
It was like 75 in Vegas the whole time we were there. And it was beautiful and glorious. And then we're rolling through Boise, like 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours north of there. And it was fucking freezing. Like, seriously crazy freezing cold. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. It's gone. Let's go. And then like it looked like they were going to leave. So we like pulled around to wait for them to pull out, and then they wouldn't fucking move. And eventually I just abandoned that bottle of Pink with Envy. And I regretted it all the way home because I didn't have another one mixed.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure they were on the phone with the cops. Like, there's two very dirty men, like, fucking just look skanked out from the road, like looking under my car waiting for me to leave. I'm pretty sure they're going to kill me. So we didn't get arrested. So that was good.
Yeah, we didn't get arrested or pulled over. And that was, I mean, it's amazing that we survived almost 2,000 miles in the desert without a single police intervention or loss of life.
Yeah, nobody died. Nobody got arrested. I do want to give a shout out to that truck stop Taco Bell though. It was so much better than it needed to be. Like
It was
there's
insane. Like I mean, I'm not a big Taco Bell guy generally speaking, right? But like the it was bonkers. Like the serving sizes were like triple the size of a normal Taco Bell. Like my soft taco weighed like half a fucking pound. It had like 2 scoops of actual granular meat that actually tasted like meat and not sauce that looks like meat. It was impressive. Like it was.
Yeah, that was probably the high point. That too, and they were giving out like fucking pod systems on the show floor, and they're probably some like big tobacco nonsense or whatever. They have like technically non-refillable pods, and the fucking soul, like for whatever it's worth, like I know we shouldn't be fucking plugging them, but like their 50 milligram salt was damn smooth, so I was just inhaling 50 milligram Nick salt the entire drive back, and I regret nothing. It was kind of fucking awesome.
Yeah, I got mine right here. I've been tooting on it a bit. The tobacco was at the first time I tried it, I was like, oh god, this is brutal. But then 2 hours into our fucking million-hour drive, uh, yeah, I just started railing on the Nick salts, man, and it carried me like all the way back to Oregon, all the way back home. And they were good. They're good. They're smooth. The flavors are pretty decent. They're not stellar, but they're good and they're strong enough that like it's actually. I mean, it's probably like 40% flavoring if there's something stupid.
Yeah. Well, and the Bigfoot over there and shit, I can't vape Nick salts. Like, I have a major problem with Nick salts too. And like, this isn't a fucking advertisement for these people because they're probably backed by some shadowy big tobacco corporation. The only reason I was using it because they gave that shit out for free and I needed a pod for the road. But like, I don't know. Like, I think there's a little bit of a qualitative difference in some of the Nick salts now. Like, some of them seem quite a bit smoother than like Jewel Nick salts, which I know like part of the Jewel's supposed to be the hit or whatever, but these were actually fucking doable at 50 milligrams for me. So
Yeah, no, they're really smooth. I get a tiny bit of kick in the back of the throat, but not nearly as bad as I expected. And I generally can't do high dose Nick salts. Like I tried some 24 milligrams from the show a couple of times, and I've tried them in the past, and I can't. I use Nick salt a regular dosage, like the same dosage you would use freebase Nick, just because I get less throat hit from it at 3 milligrams. Like it's non-existent, but it's not a choice of like to get more metabolic pressure because at 3 milligrams, like I'm not really getting that much more, not enough for it to actually make a difference. But overall, I just like the flavor better, unless the Nick salts are cheap. We've seen the fog pods. I saw them at the show, but I didn't get a chance to try one. They had a booth there, I'm pretty sure, but I didn't get a chance to mess with one. I did see some really cool pod systems. One by this other company, Inan or something, Inan, like 2 A's.
oh, that one was like, yeah, that's the one you were talking about. It looked super Chinese, but you said it was working out well.
Yeah, the actual pod system itself was pretty fucking incredible, but it was like almost more like moderately sub-ohm. Like it was just bordering on the open edge of mouth to lung to direct to lung, so you could probably do either. I didn't catch the size of the coil in it, but they had 2 mil refillable tanks that were really nice. And it's kind of big for a pod system. It's like 3 times the size of this little guy right here. But I really like the convenience of this. Plus, I can just like shove it in my pocket, and I don't have to worry about it going off or messing with the buttons. It charges in like half an hour. It's really convenient.
I still need to try them. I'm excited because I don't like new nicotine salts. I've tried nicotine river salts and they're better than new nicotines, but like trying like one of these like fucking garbage ass pod systems or whatever, like it actually makes me a little bit more excited for Nick salts. So I'm hoping the liquid barn Nick salts are that much better because it'd be nice to be able to mix up with some of that smooth at that high of a milligram. But
I still don't feel like overall like Nick salts are a net positive for us as flavors or mixers. Like they're still bad for the industry. They're not good, right? Because you can't do complex flavor with them. They just, the devices just won't support it. You know, high milligram Nick salts are not even. I even tried like a high milligram Nick salt in a mouth to lung tank, and it just doesn't carry the same. It still just doesn't work. You can get a little farther. Like I used an old sub tank on the mouth to lung setting with like a 1 ohm coil in it, and it was okay. and whatever, but like I still couldn't like man it, and I fucked with it for like 2 weeks trying different recipes, but you can't get the same flavor out of it. Even with like a freebase Nick or like a freebase recipe in a mouth-along device, there's still a difference, and I'm not sure what it is.
I mean, I can say the one time which I would endorse fucking high milligram Nick salts is when you're driving for like 17, 18 hours.
No, absolutely, it was a wonder while we were driving. Like it was incredible, and I've now completely changed my view of almost overall. For the industry itself, I'm not a huge fan, but like for me personally, like I kind of like them. Like the flavor is not too bad. I don't get any throat closure, sore throat, or anything like that. I didn't, my dick didn't turn black and fall off. Like pretty overall, I'm pretty good about everything.
How often does that happen?
Well, I mean, there was this one time in Vegas. Shindo tried to touch me, and it just happened instantly.
You got that trench dick, son.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like anybody in close physical contact with Shindo probably knows a little bit about it.
Hey, Shindo was cool. It was good. It was good to get a chance to fucking meet people like in person and shit.
No, it really was. And yeah, surprisingly enough, like it was really nice to also like hang out with other mixers, but not talk about mixing like the whole time. Like it was cool that we like had enough common interests that we could actually talk about other stuff like Whitney Houston.
So Scott Miller, I did not get any cool new hardware. They paid us a little bit of money. They didn't pay us a lot of money, and I'm a broke boy in general.
Yeah. I went by the Modder showcase, and they had tons of really sweet mechs, right? And they were like building some right there on the spot, and they were nice. But yeah, I just wasn't in the market for any hardware to mess with it. I've gotten a lot of smokers to convert with mouthful and high nick systems. Yeah, Rusty T. I agree, and I think that they're a good gateway like to quitting smoking because they're a lot more similar. Like the mouth to lungs are a lot more similar to a cigarette on these pod systems, right? And I did try the Shure and Drop. I think is the one. That's a little credit card one, right?
Yeah,
and I really liked that one. I think.
I think all the Shure and Air is the credit card one.
Okay. Well, so it's the same company, but
yeah.
Good flavor juice keeps you able to drive past the Taco Bells. Well, I lost my juice after the Taco Bell, so we had great flavored juice, but we were hungry boys, and I can't eat juice. I mean, I could, but I don't know how it was. The Air is the car. Drop is egg shaped. Okay.
Yeah.
I tried the Shure and Air, and I really enjoyed it as a pod system. Like it has a good draw on it. And I like the fact that it's easily refillable. And they have decent flavor. I don't want to say they all had terrible flavor. It just also a lot of those companies had their pod systems loaded with like God knows what. So like some of it was just a failure on juice. And I think next we should talk about the state of the juice industry overall. And I realized that going to one expo doesn't give me a picture of the entire juice industry. But I think that these guys are starting to take their cues from us to a certain degree and put out like higher quality flavors overall.
Yeah. I was like, we were talking about it because Kyle and I wandered around and sampled some juice while the significant other stole all the swag she could get her hands on. And it looks like in general, it looks like the recipes are getting a little bit more simple, but they're also getting a whole lot more like competent. Like, I don't think we tried anything that was just fucking gross.
There was a handful. There was a candy line that was right next to the red apple line. I don't remember the company name because I didn't even look, but it was bad. It tasted like 20% Flavor West gummies and too much sour. I didn't care for it very much. But a lot of the other flavor companies, Dinner Lady kind of surprised me. I tried to lemon tart once before and thought it was okay, and when I tried it again, like it's still, frankly, I think it's just okay. I know it's super popular, and it's nothing against the Dinner Lady mixers, because lemon is a hard flavor to put to market and have it be successful. but it was actually all right. And then that berry tart.
Dude, I'm still so fucking pissed off about that berry tart because I mixed with a lot of berries and I don't know what they were using as the berry note there, but it was literally the best thing I fucking tasted at the show. And it just makes me angry because I don't know how the fuck they did that.
It was hands down the best juice at the show. And and again, like I mean, I could pick apart almost every juice we tried, and I couldn't figure that one out. Like I couldn't peg it. I mean, we stood there, and that lady probably got really impatient because we were tooting on it for like 5 minutes trying to figure it out.
That seriously, that berry note is from another fucking planet. And it wasn't like because we had their blackberry crumble, and their blackberry crumble was like good. It was definitely solid. There was nothing wrong with it. But the berry note in their berry tart just made me angry. It was that good.
It was super good. And quick shout out to Mama San for their ube cheesecake, that purple cheesecake. While the flavor itself like didn't like blow me out of the water, it was innovative enough that it was really interesting. Like, and it may not have been the best juice, but I think it was the most interesting juice of the show. It was really good. Like nobody rocks ube flavors. In fact, I think there's not even anybody in the U.S. currently manufacturing an ube flavor that I know of, except, I mean, Duome is the only one I know of off the top of my head, and they're like really, as far as U.S. markets go, pretty obscure. And I don't think it was actually Duome's because I have their ube, and it's good, but it didn't taste the same at all. But overall, we tried some other juice lines. Ghost without the H, just G-O-S-T. They spell all their juices pretty silly, their titles, but their flavors were spot on. They're still simple and sweet, you know, but they were a little more nuanced, and they definitely had just a more put together mix. Rick got a chance to jam on some of the 5 Ponds and said they had a pretty rock solid tropical tobacco, which is a bold offering.
Yeah, it was there. Because, I mean, it's 5 Ponds. Like, everybody's had 5 Ponds before, and they make a big show not using sucralose and stuff. And it was kind of hit or miss. I tried that potato chip vape thing, and it wasn't bad. I still don't buy the salt thing. I don't think the salt thing comes across, but it definitely wasn't bad. But I did like their tropical tobacco. I think it's like the Royal tobacco or something. It was a little bit on the candied side, but I really liked the way they played that. I think it was a pretty bold profile, so that was one of my favorites.
It's pretty good. I felt goofy because when we did the shake and vape contest, I did a tropical tobacco, and I had no idea the 5 Ponds guys had one down the way. But I mean, I didn't get a chance to sample both of them, but I felt pretty good about it. I don't know if the tropical tobacco is going to get picked up as a one shot though or not. Some of the winners of the contest will get picked up by one shots at Liquid Barn and Chef's Flavors. I believe the Chef's Flavors are picking up the entire signature line. They went out and sampled all of them, and they really liked them. So you'll be able to see a new run of signature series from Chef's Flavors probably in a couple of weeks or a month or something. And then I'll find out about Liquid Barn soonish. I don't know. We'll find out when they get around to it. I'm sure they're busy just decompressing from Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, overall it was a pretty good show. Like I said, like there wasn't a ton of like people trying to mix ridiculously complicated flavors, but the stuff that we did taste was pretty well executed in general. Like for whatever our fucking opinions matter for. Like it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was overall really a positive experience. And you know, over the last few years, I've had a pretty low opinion of commercial juices. But I mean that information is obviously outdated by like 5 years of not buying juice, 4 years of not buying juice.
I did check into it. So Sol itself isn't big tobacco. So I feel a little bit better about it now. Like if you're in the market for a pre-filled pod to suggest to somebody for some reason, the Sol would definitely be my pick out of the ones that I've tried. So.
Yeah, when I looked before, I couldn't find any like retailers carrying the Sols, and I could only find a place to order direct. But I also didn't look very hard, so I only kind of did a cursory quick search. And the pods themselves are kind of like $20 for 5 of them, which is a little pricey. But I mean, the pod lasts me about a day and a half or 2 days if I'm casually vaping it, like. Probably a lot less because I was driving one of those days and I was chiefing on it pretty fucking hard the whole drive. Caroline Vapin asked do we think that some companies are having labs create specific flavors for their line? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm 100% positive that is the case because I have been involved with companies that do that. And I think that a large number probably of the biggest companies are absolutely doing that. Definitely. So, and I know that most of the flavor houses do develop flavors for individual companies on demand. It is not a cheap process. So I don't think it's ultra common, but it definitely happens. Yeah, for sure. The smaller companies, probably not, but unless they're kind of already in that realm. I know Artifact Vapor does Fizz Mustard's line. He sources at least a handful of flavors from directly from laboratories, and may even do some in-house.
Yeah, and I mean, there's different levels to like when you're saying like people are sourcing custom stuff, and I know nothing about any company's actual process or whatever, but like you can go to some of the flavoring companies if you have enough of a bankroll, and you aren't necessarily getting something completely bespoke, just something that doesn't show up in like any of the flavor houses lines.
Right, exactly, and it's not even necessarily like Rick said, not necessarily something amazing or. Well, I don't think Jam Monster is impossible to clone. I'm pretty sure it is possible, but I haven't spent enough time trying. Because I'm not that interested in the profile. But if you give me a gallon of it, I'm sure Rick would do
it. we had some fun interactions with some of the mixers, and like the commercial mixers, like the few that we did get a chance to talk to, they were all like super cool about shit, and we got to talk a little bit of shop, which is always nice.
It was nice. There was a couple that I talked to, and they were kind of like, "Oh, you're with the DIYers." I don't know you, and they got a little, standoffish. But for the most part, especially on towards the end of the show, when I think some of the pressure to get the public to pay attention to their products was off, then they were a lot more open.
Yeah, and like we like, I think the thing that they understand at a certain point is we're not out to go after their market. We just want to talk about flavors and shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think once we got to that point, and we were able to help them, or it was just in a more chill setting, it was a lot easier to interact with them. And I mean, we had a lot of positive interaction with a lot of companies. Overall, a lot of commercial companies were coming through and testing our stuff and checking it out. A lot of just random people stopped by and learned about DIY, which was probably the coolest part. Even though, I mean, at first it felt kind of like, I don't know, weird, like showing people how to mix like right there on the spot, but it was a really cool environment for us to do that. Liquid Barn provided everybody with like a free bottle of short fill base, right? So it's just the base waiting to be flavored.
Yeah.
And they were able to bring that over to our stations that we had set up. And we made them juice right there on the spot. There on the spot. Bigfoot wants it, but DIY does tap into the market. It does some, but not to any kind of like honestly, it's not a significant impact. Most of them were really open. A lot of the companies that are out there now, they came from DIY, right? They started the same way we did. And ultimately we don't represent a large enough portion of the market share to be a legitimate threat to commercial juice. Like we just don't.
Well, and we're also not, I mean, it's a fairly large market. The thing is, we're not, I don't see DIY so much as competing with like the people that want the whole like wraparound stuff with like something like Jam Monster or something where they have like the 800 different things and they got the marketing and all that. Like I see DIY and one shots in particular as more of a competition than the people who've realized that it gets expensive to vape. And so, like, if we're fucking with anybody, we're trying to fuck with Vape Wild and all of the, like, $15 for 120 mil kind of people.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think we hit the middle ground guys more than others.
Yeah. I don't think that commercial juice companies really fear it or anything because, like, eventually, if DIY starts to be a bigger thing, they're just going to start releasing their juices as one-shots like they're doing in some of the other markets.
Exactly that. So we already kind of saw a shift in the European markets when the TPD landed, right? So when the TPD landed, all the big companies had to shift to wrap around the TPD. When the regulations come here, like those companies they're gonna get involved in one shots and everything else too, right? And And some people will see DIY as or one shots as like an inroad to DIY, but a lot of people will stop there. The UK market is just like a sterling example of that, right? So Chef's Flavors went to one shot solely when the TPD landed. They didn't want to mess around with juice until the dust settled. And now they're launching short fills, which are still 0 milligram juice that you fill with nicotine, right? Slightly over flavored bottles that you fill with nicotine, and it makes a finished juice. But overall, I don't think they fear us more than they fear the regulations that are forcing people into us, right? Forcing people towards DIY. It doesn't have anything to do with DIY itself. I don't think. Maybe some people want to put the blame on us, but I didn't really get that vibe from all the companies that I talked to this weekend. A lot of them were really chill. Most of them were really, really chill. A few of them were a little, whatever. But
yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing too, like with all of the regulations and stuff, like granted, I'm not like the regulation guy or up on it or all that, but I think we've officially hit the point for vaping where a lot of it's kind of survival mode. And so, like, in order to keep the industry going as a whole, you gotta have a little bit less like fucking petty infighting. And even though we're like out there on our fucking island or whatever, I mean, we're actively keeping people engaged in vaping. So
yeah, I mean, even if I only helped like 5 people this weekend get into DIY, like that's 5 people that I kept vaping and kept interested, right? Like that's good enough for me, and it's worth the trip just for that alone, even if I didn't get to have such a great time otherwise, which I did. So it was like a huge bump.
It was definitely worth it, the trip alone for me to win with Giant Swan in the signature competition and also talk some shit to people in person instead of just over the internet. I mean, that's always fun.
Yeah, there was a lot of trash talk. I mean, good-natured trash talking, but there was a lot of it, and it was good. It was really fun. Like, I'm still kind of reeling from like how fun it was. Like all filled with
fun.
I don't know. Fucking happy feelings or some shit, which is garbage, and it's going to be over soon, so don't fucking get used to it, okay?
Fuck happy feelings. No, I mean, I got to bark like DMX a bunch and talk a bunch of shit about stuff that I tried. And I mean, it was good. It's a good time.
And special shout out to Bryson for scoring some super sweet fucking inflatable furniture. And you can ship the ones you don't want to keep to my house anytime. Okay, so just remember that.
Do you really want to go to full inflatable furniture? Because I feel like the inflatable furniture was a great idea for numerous reasons. They talked about including it being considerably cheaper, and you'd have to have somebody union to move it in there. But I think they underestimated exactly how round most vapors are, and so it was a fun game seeing people like try to avoid just rolling right off onto the floor to get up.
And Dave did manage to give me like a full foot of air when he plopped onto a inflatable couch on the other end of it from me, and I did physically launch me off the couch, so that was interesting.
Yeah, but like it was a super fun game of seeing who's gonna just give up and like just roll off in a giant amorphous mass onto the floor.
I saw a few of those. I saw a few of those where they kind of roly-polied themselves into a standing position after a few minutes of struggle.
Yeah, like I'm a fucking big boy too. Like I'm not judging or anything, but there's a reason I didn't sit in those chairs around anybody who would actually see.
Right. Yeah. And the worst part was that I wanted they're like naturally like surround your body, and then I would just start to get tired. I would start to realize how tired I was because like the whole trip we were moving, and then we would just sleep. Like we just didn't sleep pretty much the whole thing. Not really. Not like real people sleep. Like it was like.
I slept on Monday.
I haven't yet, really, because I drove here and then kind of slept Monday night, and then I pretty much worked straight through Tuesday till now, with like a few hours to break. And then after the show, I'm going to keep working, and that's pretty much it.
Just bang out some juice.
No, I'm not banging out juices tomorrow. Like I've been kind of just blasting through some of these chef's fruit flavors. So mad shout out to Guango, Green Lush, and Pink with Envy, and Tickle Me Pink. All of those have been excellent so far. I've been just vaping their juices, shake and vape, and making a new one every day. And now I've got like a collection growing on my desk of them, and they're all really good, even just fresh mixed. I got no complaints. They were all really good.
I got a million things I need to be working on right now. It's really not helping me that I have a giant stack of one shots in front of me.
Not chef, not yet. They won't be making public the recipes from the contest that won because some of them are getting launched as one shots, and we haven't talked with the companies on their position on that. We kind of, yeah, we're gonna have to. We're gonna play that by ear. Some of them will probably get released, but I don't want to release anything until we've had that conversation, which didn't occur during the show. So
yeah, if they give us okays, we'll dump stuff, but we can only dump it if they give us the okays for it.
Graham, it was super cool seeing you. I fell asleep not long after you arrived because I was fucking exhausted and I don't have the stamina of all you young people. But it was cool, man. We miss you too. I think maybe
all of us young fucking 34-year-olds.
Well, so I got like 5 years on you, right? Like after 35, everything stops. It's over then, right? So you still got like a year of youth left.
Dude, I already felt too. Oh, that's not true. Like I didn't feel like super old for the crowd or anything, but yeah, like I definitely got crotchety at one point. I think everybody went out to have like fancy burgers and stuff, and I was just like, okay, I need some peace and quiet. We got a fucking sandwich from a grocery store and watch some Great British Baking Show.
So I'm actually like I'm half jealous, right? So that was the same night that I went out with the guys from Chefs, and I was like already at mega burnout, but like it was my one chance to go out and have a drink with Chefs, and I've known the guys for a couple of years now, and we talk all the time, and I think they're super amazing. Graham, that's terrifying. Thank you. But I couldn't pass up the chance, so I just bucked it up and washed down the pain with an enormous amount of beverages, and it worked out fine.
Yeah, no, it worked out good. And honestly, if I could have teleported down there, it would have been an almost perfect trip. Or if I was a rich dude, I would have been all over that shit. But we made it work, and I'm really glad that we went down. And again, fucking shout out to Flavora, shout out to Liquid Barn, shout out to Bull City. I know chipped in at least a little bit of money. Capella dropped off some flavors. Shout out to everybody that swung through. Like, I don't know how it worked out for anybody's corporate bottom line, but I certainly had a good time. So
yeah, I definitely had a great time, and we couldn't have done it without everybody, all the mixers and all the companies that all came together to make this work. And I hope it's something we can do again in the future. Although I don't know, I'm gonna have to question the driving choice again, round 2.
I mean, I'd still probably drive, but
I'd do it again. I'd do it again. It's just no question. I would do it again. I wouldn't like the driving part, but I would still do it the same way. I wouldn't fly in. There's no way.
Yeah, if we end up going back down to Vegas for anything, unfortunately, by round robin rules, we're gonna have to leave from your place, so I get the second ancillary drive at the ass end of it.
I mean, we can do that. Vegas it's also a much shorter drive from my place, though.
Yeah, see, there you go.
It's like 11 hours or 12 hours from my place.
It can't be like 12 hours from your place. That's physically impossible.
Reno's only 10 hours.
Yeah, but like Reno and Vegas, like they're across the entire blasted middle part of Nevada.
I'm gonna Google it right now.
Okay, we're gonna solve this like fucking Google Maps fight. Google Maps fight. That's what Mixlife has come to. We talked some shit about Vegas.
Yeah, you're right. It is about the same.
Yeah. Yeah, because like we were looking it up, like trying to decide who was going where, and then like you volunteered to take the bullet for the extra drive.
All of the choices are 15 hours, under 16 hours. So I feel like with our Death March pace, we could probably pare that down to 14 and a half.
Just straight red mist the entire time. It was all sorts 900
of fun. That's only like 15 miles shorter from my house than your house.
Yeah. Well, I just like the fact that we decided
there's a lot more nothing.
We decided that we were going to avoid that mountain pass on the way back and ran into like the cataclysmic fog bank that lasted for 120 miles through small towns. So we may have chosen wrong, but
let's petition them to do it in Seattle next year instead of Vegas.
Dude, they had a vaping convention in Seattle and it was an eighth of the size. They couldn't sell anything. I think Vegas is where it's at.
I guess so. Vegas it is. Yeah, it was a really crazy drive, and it definitely got pretty surreal a few times. Well, like most of it was really surreal, right? Like waiting for Tuscan Raiders to like maul out of the hills at us with their fucking their like toilet papered rifles, and
yeah, Like, I get the desert, I really fucking do, but it should not be that sunny and clear and empty and also like 29 degrees. Like that should not be legal. I didn't care for that. A 16-hour flight from Vegas. Yeah, beat that.
My chef, we actually drove longer than chefs had to fly to get there. When I talked to
Yeah,
them, they said their flight was only 11 hours.
but they were going across like time zones and shit.
But the total time in the air was still less than.
They were time traveling, my dude. It doesn't count.
Doesn't count, right?
Because I'm pretty sure they come from a magical land underneath a tree. That's where their distribution center is, so it doesn't count. They used fairy magic to get there.
Hobbiton, right? Yeah. Gandalf the Grey just fucking shipped them on their way. While he held off the Balrog and on Barry Island. So yeah, I mean that's about it, right? So I don't.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get back to like more focused content or something next week.
Yeah. So that's the last part. So the drive home, like a lot of you guys, I'm sure have already noticed, like the last couple of months of shows, I've been really just. I'll be frank with you all. I've been just like hitting burnout really bad, right? Like. It's not that I don't care about the show or about mixing or anything, but I've been pretty off the radar trying to get everything sorted so that, I don't know, maybe the burnout would be less bad. But Vegas really kind of renewed my sense of purpose in mixing and in content producing. So after a few weeks, I have just to get like Vegas fucking sorted out of my skin, right? And actually get my shit put away. But expect to see a lot more things. If you guys have any ideas or questions or anything, just put it in the Mixlife group. The link's in the description. But expect Mixlife to be a thing, yeah? To be a thing again, right? We're going to be around, and I'm going to be posting more recipes and just doing more stuff. I've got a beginner series planned, so I want to make a series of beginners videos that are just hyper-focused and shorter, right? More informational, but just really baseline stuff. Do something with TFA berry mix.
No.
Bad.
I mean, you could say you're using TFA berry mix and just add Capella Harvest Berry.
Yeah, that's really, honestly, no offense, but that's where I'd go. I like Harvest Berry and Forest Fruit far better than I like TFA berry mix. I'm not saying it's completely useless. I'm sure there's probably a place I can find for it, but I'd have to reorder it because I think the one I have is old and I didn't care for it. So maybe I got a bad batch. I don't know, but I didn't like it.
So while Koppel's over here promising to do better, I can make the promise that I'm only going to get worse and just worse in general. So it'll be fun. It'll be like a seesaw. Koppel will get better. I'll get worse. There'll be some other tipping point, and then we'll switch roles again. That's kind of the way this works.
Yep, pretty much. Well, I mean, it's hard for you to do better than you already were with your reviews and everything else you were doing. And you're on like
I've been slacking so hard, my dude. I gotta get my ass back in gear.
Every fucking DIY show in the country, like you're on all of them.
That's also because I'm charming.
Next Monday, Rick and I will be filling in for Dave on Noted. They're going to have a florals episode, so be watching out for that. They already did a florals episode like a year ago, but they want to revisit them. There's some new florals out, like Blackberry Blossom and the Flavora round of florals, and I've got my hands on some of the new Vape Train florals. And they're really good, all of them, but we'll go more in depth with them Monday night. The swirl will be with you, gentlemen. Thank you, Scott Miller.
The swirl will be with you too.
For sure. But yeah, so things will be coming, right? So keep an eye out, right? Watch the groups. And don't be afraid to share with us on our groups. You know, we don't get a lot of like regular mixer interaction from people that aren't from e-juice makers. So please feel free if you got questions or concerns or a recipe you're working on and you're not sure. I mean, try to avoid just sending requests for, hey, I just ordered this flavor. What do I do with it? I mean, you should mix it first, and whatever. But like, if you have like legitimate questions or concerns, I mean, honestly, because you know how many of those posts like we go through where it's just like somebody that's just starting out, and I never want to be like mean to them, but it's like the same question I've answered like 500 times. So yeah.
You're the one pushing beginner content, man. I say we just leave the beginners behind entirely and just disappear into our own little weird headspace.
That won't go good for us, but
all florals all the time. From now on, Mixlife's going to become a floral tribute show.
I'm just going to write 20 episodes about Flavora elderflower. That's what's about to happen.
Oh, shit. I think we can talk about a new Flavora floral on that show, too. I think if it got to this point, I think we can talk about them.
Oh, are we? Yeah, they're about to get released. Which one is it?
It's that rose.
You know, okay, so Flavora has a new rose coming out. I don't know for sure if I'm supposed to say this, so please don't kill me, Bryson. Have you tried it yet?
Yeah, I tried it. It was not bad, but I'm going to let you take all of the rose praise. I didn't find it bad, and I don't like roses. So
right. So Flavor Art Rose and TPA Rose Candy were the two like roses available to us previously. FA Rose is really, 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 really green. Like green to the point where it can be a pretty violent experience if you use it even a little bit too high. It's okay if you use it really low and you let it steep a long time. But it was hard to work with, really challenging.
It's gross and I hate it.
Rick hates it. TPA Rose Candy was a little more manageable, but it's musky and it's really more like rose water, right? Like the rose juice or rose water that you get like in Middle Eastern markets. Again, not bad, but still a struggle to work with, and that perfumey note could be really off-putting for a lot of people. But Flavora's rose is a lot more well-rounded. It's still definitely musky in that rose kind of way, but I think it's a lot more subtle. And overall, I think it's a really good rock solid rose flavor. And I'm looking forward to messing around with it a whole bunch more. I haven't had a chance to get around to it for a second look, but I'm looking forward to it. Flavora Honeybee. Yeah, I really like Flavora Honeybee, but it's really like other honey flavors. It's incredibly potent.
But it's a different kind of it's a different kind of floral. Yeah, like that's my problem with a lot of florals is they have that perfumey floral. Mm-hmm. And then Flavora's Honeybee has like more of like a wildflower honey kind of floral, which is a little bit less perfumey, a little bit less like grandma-ish.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think it's probably better with like tobaccos and like other stuff. It doesn't really go for like squeeze bear honey, but it's a good flavor.
Yeah, no, I really like it. It's definitely still kind of fits into the oddities category, but I think it's really fun. I don't know if I have any recipes published with Flavora Honeybee. Oh, I think I did one last year. It might be on my All the Flavors, but I can't remember.
Okay, we're not in trouble for talking about the rose. So
did Bryson text you?
Yeah, he texted you too. We're good.
My phone just went off, but I didn't look.
So Flavora Rose is a thing that's coming out. We'll talk about it on Monday on Noted.
Oh, perfect timing. So, well, I guess that tells me he's not mad. There we go.
There we go. Honeybee doesn't really do the cat pee thing. I don't get like a really strong ammonia thing. I think if you like really are concentrating and turning it up, but at like lower percentages, like if you've ever had like actual like wildflower honey that's a little bit more like I know it sounds like marketing wank to use these kind of terms, but like it does remind me of the floral note in unpasteurized honey. Like it's not offensive. It's still there, but it's definitely not offensive.
Yeah, no, it's really good. But again, fair warning, it is ridiculously potent. So under 0.15, under 0.2%, under 0.2, definitely. 0.15 is brave. 0.1 is probably reasonable.
Josh saying that he likes honeybee and low percentage with teas. That's a really, really good use for it.
Yeah, super great application. In fact, overall, I think it's been my favorite application. I messed with a few honey tobaccos with it, and I really liked it. But some of the sticky, right, like vibe I get from it, I'm not sure how else to like describe it. Just that unctuous sweetness can make some of the tobaccos like kind of bury some of the drier oakier notes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely.
Not just over here using it at 0.5%. Doesn't find it offensive. I just said,
fucking love you. That's fucking beautiful. No, I'm sure it's usable at 0.5%, but I haven't found the counterbalance strong enough to make it work for me. It is a really strong flavor, but it doesn't get offensive at 0.5%. I should add. it takes over, right? It does its work, and it's a bully. But it's good. It's really good. I like it a lot. Well, we've hit our hour stride for the day.
Wrap it
lots
up.
more fun. Smash the button.
Smash that like button.
If you haven't already, smash the like and the share and the subscribe and all those fun things, and click the bell and do the things. We love having you guys around. And we're going to keep it coming. Thanks for watching, dudes. Cheers.
Love you.